California had a rule that schools cannot be required to notify parents if their kids in school have changed their gender, their pronouns. That's the kind of thing, even though it doesn't affect a lot of people, that makes a lot of people go, well, you know what? That's the party without common sense. Now, if that's your state, how are you?
Well, I just disagree with that. I mean, the law was you would be fired. A teacher would be fired if a teacher did not report or snitch on a kid talking about their gender identity. I just think that was wrong. I think teachers should teach. I don't think they should be required to turn in kids. And by the way,
we're talking about their parents. How can you snitch? The idea of a snitch and a parent, to me, doesn't compare.
Bill Maher came out swinging. On Real Time, he confronted Gavin Newsom head-on, live and uncensored, accusing the California governor of overseeing a state in serious decline. From exploding homelessness and crushing taxes to crime and population flight, Maher didn't sugarcoat a thing. But the real jolt came when Newsom admitted something deeper. Even Democrats are starting to splinter. This wasn't routine political banter. It felt like a reckoning, one that lit up social media instantly. Maher's critique wasn't performative rage. It sounded like frustration boiling over from a Californian who's had enough. The Golden State's gloss has faded, replaced by soaring costs, disorder, and visible decay. Once held up as a progressive success story, California now resembles a cautionary tale. Under Newsom's watch, homelessness has climbed past 180,000, highest in the nation, despite billions poured into programs that rarely show results.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelinos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office? How much more of their destructive decision-making masquerading as leadership are we going to tolerate? It's time to take back our community and our state and put the power and the privilege in the hands of competent leaders whose goals are to protect us and the way of life this nation was founded upon.
Major cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Oakland have become symbols of urban deterioration. Corporate heavyweights like Tesla, Oracle, and Hewlett-Packard have relocated to states like Texas and Nevada, with employees following close behind. Retail theft has surged so badly that stores like Walgreens and Target now lock up basic necessities or shut down entirely. Then there's taxation. California's top income tax rate, 13.3%, the highest in the country, has triggered backlash even among loyal liberals. Maher, a longtime Los Angeles resident, has repeatedly mocked the idea of paying elite-level taxes while navigating tents, potholes, and crime. For months, he's warned that California's progressive dream has drifted into fantasy. That tension filled the studio as Newsom arrived, prepared to defend the blue state blueprint. He pointed to GDP growth, Silicon Valley innovation, and climate leadership. Maher wasn't impressed.
It's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So do you think that's silly? Do you think that's a silly thing that we too much government there?
Look, that's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they're the ones making a case for that. They were making us. They're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support.
This wasn't a right-wing ambush. It was a liberal holding another liberal accountable. Commentators later said it felt less like an interview and more like an intervention. When Maher leaned in and said, "You're governing the state people are fleeing," the tone shifted instantly. No jokes, no build-up, just blunt reality. Newsom argued California still leads in jobs and creativity, brushing off migration concerns as partisan exaggeration. Maher cut him off. "This isn't Fox News, Gavin. These are my friends, my neighbors. They're tired of paying premium prices for dysfunction." The conversation grew raw. Maher described the tents, the smells, the fear after dark. Newsom spoke of compassion and reform. Maher's response was simple. You've been in charge for years, and it's worse. The studio went quiet. Then came taxes. Maher calmly broke down the numbers. Middle-class earners can't afford rent, he said, yet they're taxed like the wealthy and given chaos in return. Newsom leaned on buzzwords, equity, reinvestment, infrastructure, but Maher's expression said it all. How can you brag about GDP when people can't live with dignity? This wasn't about ideology anymore. It was about whether Californians could still survive. 500,000 residents leaving in a single year answered louder than rhetoric. Then Maher landed the punch.
I feel like this country is divided into owners and healers. People think you can own the other side. Gavin Newsom owned DeSantis. DeSantis destroyed Gavin Newsom. Or people who want to talk and heal. And I feel like the next president's going to be, at least if it comes from this party, the Democratic Party, someone who wants to talk and heal.
It's important. Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. This notion of cancel culture, you've been living it. You've been on the receiving end of it for years and years and years. That's real. And Democrats need to own up to that. They've got to mature.
So
every person who leaves, Maher said, takes your tax base with them. Fewer taxpayers mean fewer social programs. It was cold, mathematical truth. Newsom pivoted again, green energy, tech leadership, social progress. Maher nodded, then delivered the line that froze the room. I love all of that. I love this state. But when everyone's moved to Austin, who exactly are you leading? Silence followed. No applause, just impact. Even staunch Democrats online admitted Maher's words stung because they weren't ideological, they were personal. In that moment, Maher became the voice of disillusioned progressives who still believe in ideals but refuse to excuse incompetence. What unfolded wasn't just television. It was accountability in real time. When Newsom tried to regroup, he slipped into performance mode. Straight posture, practice smile, familiar talking points, but the damage was already done.
it was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff. And then whenever I read, 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds. No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds. We grow a boatload of almonds.
I'm well
here.
aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Come on, man. Take on big almond.
Take on big almond.
Newsom's tone sounded like a campaign commercial. Polished, confident, and emotionally distant. Maher wasn't buying it. He'd heard the speech before. Newsom's defense boiled down to two claims. California's problems are the price of success, and critics ignore its economic strength. He rattled off statistics, GDP, renewables, venture capital, diversity, as if numbers could erase visible decay. Maher barely reacted. That's great, he said, but people don't live on GDP. They live in reality. The line drew uneasy laughter. Newsom searched for a comeback. None landed. Maher cut through the spin. You can't brag about saving the planet if you can't save San Francisco. The reaction was mixed, shock and relief. Maher wasn't attacking from the right. He was calling out hypocrisy from within. Newsom tried again, framing the chaos as the growing pains of progress.
I feel like the last couple of years you've purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War.
I agree with that.
You know what? Well, but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, oh, this is a blue state and that's a red state. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. It's been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country.
The explanation sounded rehearsed, maybe sincere, but Maher's face told a different story. You've had years, he said. Billions in funding, endless committees. Where are the results? The camera caught Newsom blinking, confidence slipping for a split second. Maher leaned in. You call it bold leadership. I call it mismanagement with good PR. Audible gasps followed. The line hit home for anyone who's waited at the DMV, dodged crumbling roads, or sat in gridlock under collapsing infrastructure. Newsom tried humor to ease the tension. You're starting to sound like Sean Hannity. he joked. Maher smiled. No, Hannity wants you to fail. I live here. The audience erupted. This wasn't partisan. It was personal. By now, the roles had reversed. Maher wasn't moderating, he was prosecuting. Newsom's talking points bounced off lived experience. The governor had entered friendly territory only to find no protection left.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
So you think that's silly? You think that's a silly thing? That
What was
we too much government there.
That's an interesting one because the department stores came to us supporting that, and they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know the top priorities are homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes.
Newsom came to rehabilitate California's image. Instead, he became the embodiment of its unraveling. Maher zeroed in on the deepest wound, homelessness. You can talk tech growth all day, he said, but people step over human suffering every morning. He cited billions spent on programs like Home Key, meant to turn hotels into shelters. We keep hearing about new initiatives, Maher said, but the tents never leave. Newsom listed familiar obstacles: courts, mental health, inflation, bureaucracy, everything but ownership. Maher stopped him. You're the governor. If California can't fix this with its budget, who can? The silence was heavy. Newsom appealed to morality, claiming California chose compassion. Maher didn't blink. Compassion without results isn't compassion. Then came public safety. Maher cited viral robberies, daytime looting, businesses abandoning downtowns. This isn't perception, he said. It's daily life. Newsom leaned on statistics. Maher fired back. It's not about numbers. It's about trust. And you've lost it. He told the story of a friend forced to move her business after multiple break-ins. She followed the rules, paid the taxes, and still got punished. The moment landed hard. Newsom returned to his standard closer: investment, optimism, love for the state, but it rang hollow. Maher wasn't asking for vision. He wanted reality. People don't see transformation, he said. They see tents. That line detonated online. The clip spread because it wasn't outrage, it was exhaustion. Californians aren't mad at ideals. They're fed up with failure wrapped in virtue. When the show cut to commercial, Newsom's smile looked strained. He'd kept composure, but his confidence cracked. This wasn't a partisan hit. It was a warning from inside the movement that slogans can't replace results. Maher didn't raise his voice. He didn't switch sides. He demanded competence. And that's why it resonated.